Are you fascinated by epic tales of sacrifice? You need to watch this if you love discovering hidden connections in history. Let's dive into the surprising similarities between the legendary story of Siavash from Persian mythology and the iconic tragedy of Imam Hussein in Islamic history. First off, both Siavash and Imam Hussein are symbols of innocence and justice, standing tall against corruption and betrayal. Siavash, the beloved prince of the Shahnameh, faces false accusations and exile, but refuses to compromise his values, even if it means his own life. Imam Hussein, grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, stands up against tyranny, choosing martyrdom at Karbala over submission to injustice. Both stories revolve around a noble hero who accepts suffering rather than betray their principles. Their deaths spark waves of mourning and inspire generations. Siavash through Persian literature and Imam Hussein through the annual rituals of Ashura. What's truly striking? Both tales emphasize that real power comes from moral courage, not just strength. Their sacrifices become timeless reminders. Standing up for what's right can change the course of culture and history. So, next time you hear about Siavash or Imam Hussein, remember, they're not just figures from the past. They're symbols of hope, resistance, and the unbreakable human spirit. To truly understand the power of Siavash's story, let's journey through the stages of his life, from innocence to inevitable tragedy. Born to King Qaboos, Siavash grows up as the embodiment of virtue, admired by all for his honesty and gentle spirit. But his world changes when he becomes a target of sinister court intrigues. Wrongly accused by his stepmother Sudabe, Siavash faces a trial by fire. Literally, in one of the Shahnameh's most unforgettable moments, he rides his horse through a raging blaze, emerging unscathed. The flames cannot touch his innocence, but suspicion lingers. Rather than seek revenge or power, Siavash chooses exile, crossing into the lands of Tehran. Even in a foreign court, his integrity shines. He wins respect, love, and even marries the king's daughter. But peace is fleeting. Refusing to support a war he believes is unjust, Siavash becomes a threat to those hungry for conflict. Betrayed once more, this time by his new homeland, Siavash is executed, an innocent life cut short by jealousy and fear. Yet, his death is not the end. Siavash's sacrifice transforms him into a symbol of justice for generations to come. His story echoes through Persian poetry and art, reminding us that standing by your principles, even in the face of tragedy, can light a spark that never dies. Let's begin with Siavash, the beloved prince of the Shahnameh. Born to King Qaboos, Siavash was known for his innocence, wisdom, and sense of justice. Siavash's troubles began when he was falsely accused by his stepmother, Sudabe, who tried to seduce him. Refusing her advances, Siavash was forced to prove his innocence by passing through a trial by fire. Miraculously, Siavash emerged unharmed, proving his purity. Yet, suspicion lingered, and he chose exile over conflict with his father. Siavash found refuge in Tehran, where he was welcomed by King Afrasiab and married his daughter, Farangis. He became a respected leader, building a new city and bringing peace. But jealousy and political intrigue led to Siavash's tragic end. Betrayed by those he trusted, he was executed on false charges, becoming a symbol of innocence lost and unjust suffering. Siavash's death sparked deep mourning in Persia. His legacy lived on through his son, Kai Khosrow, and in the hearts of those who value justice and sacrifice. Now, let's turn to another timeless story of sacrifice and unwavering faith, Imam Hussein, the revered grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. His journey, like Siavash's, begins in innocence and ends in heartbreaking tragedy, but his choices at every step ignite a flame of hope and resistance that continues to shine across centuries. Imam Hussein's life was marked by compassion, wisdom, and a deep sense of justice. He was beloved by his family and followers, but lived in a time of growing tyranny. When the oppressive ruler Yazid demanded Imam Hussein's allegiance, he refused, choosing principle over safety, truth over compromise. This decision would seal his fate. Accompanied by his family and a small band of loyal supporters, Imam Hussein set out from Medina towards Kufa, answering the call of those who sought justice. But at the desert plains of Karbala, his caravan was intercepted by Yazid's army, vastly outnumbered, cut off from water and surrounded on all sides. Despite impossible odds, Imam Hussein stood firm. On the 10th day of Muharram, the day now known as Ashura, he and his companions faced their enemies with courage and dignity. One by one, his loved ones fell, yet Imam Hussein's resolve never wavered. In his final moments, he stood as a beacon of resistance, choosing death over dishonor and faith over fear. Imam Hussein's martyrdom sent shockwaves through history. His sacrifice became a rallying cry for the oppressed, a symbol of standing up to injustice no matter the cost. Every year, millions commemorate his journey, mourning not just his loss, but the enduring values he embodied: compassion, justice, and unwavering faith. Just as Siavash's story echoes in the soul of Persian culture, Imam Hussein's legacy inspires hearts around the world. Their stories, separated by time and place, remind us that the fight for justice and truth is universal, and that even in the darkest moments, the light of sacrifice can guide generations to come. Now let's turn to Imam Hussein, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad. Known for his piety and courage, Hussein became a beacon of resistance against tyranny. When the Umayyad ruler Yazid demanded allegiance, Imam Hussein refused, standing for justice and the true values of Islam. He set out from Medina with his family and followers, heading toward Kufa. At Karbala, Imam Hussein and his small group were surrounded by Yazid's army. Despite being outnumbered and denied water, Imam Hussein refused to surrender. On the 10th of Muharram, Imam Hussein and his companions were killed in a brutal massacre. His stand became a symbol of ultimate sacrifice for truth and justice. The tragedy of Karbala is commemorated every year during Ashura, inspiring millions to stand against oppression and uphold moral courage. As we reflect on the stories of Siavash and Imam Hussein, we find a shared legacy that transcends time and culture. Both stood against injustice, choosing honor and integrity over personal safety. Their sacrifices remind us that true greatness lies not in power, but in the courage to stand for what is right, even when the cost is high. From Siavash's quiet dignity to Imam Hussein's unwavering faith, we learn that the fight for justice is universal, and that every act of selflessness plants a seed of hope for future generations. Their stories inspire us to hold on to our values, to speak out against oppression, and to believe that even in our darkest hours, the light of sacrifice can guide the way forward. In remembering Siavash and Imam Hussein, we honor all who have chosen principle over compromise, and we are reminded that their lessons live on, urging us to build a world rooted in compassion, justice, and unwavering faith. In the end, the stories of Siavash and Imam Hussein remind us that true greatness lies in standing up for justice, compassion, and unwavering faith. Their sacrifices continue to inspire us to seek truth and courage in our own lives.